Thank you, Senator Collins, and I want to thank everyone for being here today. This means so much, and I hope you always remember this day, but for your effort in trying to make your situation, make your lives better, you're playing a part of it today, and I appreciate all of you coming. Dr. Rogers, my question is for you, and it's more state-specific. Mississippi is the state I represent, a very large state, but a pretty low population for such a large state, a lot of rural areas. And so many times we have so many patients that go undiagnosed and their chronic disease complications just skyrocket. But the specialists are few and far between, and the patients usually have to travel a long way for their appointments. And we've seen positive impacts of the special diabetes programs and research at the NIH. However, rural communities seem to face such a greater challenge. I have more family members that suffer from diabetes. I mean, everyone in Mississippi is very aware of what this, because we do have one of the highest rates. But during your time as the director of the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, how have researchers focused on rural populations in their research and their studies? Because this is a great concern in my state.
Thank you, Senator, for that question. There is a lot of activity in Mississippi. I've visited there multiple times to actually speak, and you're right, it is rural disease. We have been following and working with the Centers for Disease Control, who, as you know, follow the incidence and prevalence of certain diseases like diabetes, not only at a state level, but even sort of at a county level, to try to understand what are some of the factors that are contributing to the prevalence and changing in the prevalence of the disease. We're also learning, for example, that in a study that we work with the CDC, it's called SEARCH. And what SEARCH is now telling us, of course, everything in government has an acronym. So SEARCH is an acronym, which I won't go into at the moment, but we're really searching for diabetes in youth and adolescents. And we're finding that not only are we seeing an increase in the numbers of kids with type 1 diabetes in certain rural areas that was totally unexpected, but we're also seeing type 2 diabetes, for example, in kids as young as 10, 11, or 12. And what we know about type 2 diabetes in these kids is that, A, it doesn't respond to at the same way that drugs that are commonly available respond in adults with the disease. And secondly, it's much more aggressive disease. This is type 2 diabetes, not type 1. It seems to be associated with the development of complications much, much earlier than what we see in adults, which typically takes 10 or 15 years of the disease. And so these are studies that are really being actively pursued both at the state and the county level to try to understand this. And using new sophisticated GPS to actually target these. We have some young investigators who are coming up with some ideas that will be subject to testing. So we're very much focused on the disparities that exist in rural America, and that's something that it really is something that's very important to me.
Can you tell me that how we as Congress can help address some of those issues? Is there anything specific because of the lack of quality of health care in so many rural areas? Is there anything specific we as Congress can do to improve that?
Well, certainly your support for this program and other programs I think are certainly critically important. We want to make sure that we continue to have investigators in the pipeline to continue investigative inquiries, to be right there to answer questions that they pose. And so ensuring that we can not only maintain pivotal clinical trials in diabetes and in other areas, but obviously funding the next generation of investigators, both to treat patients appropriately, but also to uncover ideas that we're not even aware of yet to make sure they're there to help us move forward. And your ongoing support for those efforts, I think, is very much valuable.
Well, I just thank all of you for being here. I thank you for your efforts. And I do have one young man, 17 years old in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and he has the CGM pump, and it has changed his life. I just want that opportunity for every child that suffers from this. I want them to have every opportunity that we can possibly provide. So thank you for doing the research. Thank you for your diligence.
Thank you.
Thank you.